Welcome everyone, it is Dylan from Class 1A bringing you another My Hero Academia Vigilantes chapter breakdown. This week we have chapter 123, Conclusion. Now, don't worry, this isn't like the conclusion, this is just the conclusion to the fight. Don't you worry, we will get the final chapter soon enough. We kick off the chapter back in Naruhata. The heroes are here in full force. With all the bomber villains gone, all that's left to do is rescue the civilians and clean up. Now, let me just say, this is so bizarre. We've been in this fight for a year now, right? And we're finally at the point where the sun's coming out. Naruhata isn't on fire. The civilians aren't cowering in fear. The heroes are finally here, and it's just so bizarre to see. But number 6 isn't done yet. Using his speed, he darts through the crowd's blind spots, completely burnt and charred. Only a walking corpse remains. Okay, so this is horrifying just looking at him. He's like this wandering, shambling zombie going through the crowd at this point. And it's pretty scary. To see this colored or animated or whatever is gonna be horrifying. Actual nightmare fuel. And this is him doing overclock, okay? So he is not only a shambling corpse, but he's darting through the crowd. Obviously no one can see him because they're in the blind spot, but this is still horrifying if you were to see it. After a while, we see what 6 is finally after. Of course, is none other than Koichi. AFO is still in his ear though, and commands him to kill Koichi. But instead, he puts on his face and talks to him. Without missing a beat, Koichi laughs it off, almost reminiscing about the fight that they just had. And instead of attacking or talking about jail, he just says, let's go to the hospital. Okay, and so I just want to talk about Koichi and how much I love him. I love him so much because after all of that, he's on the brink of death. He fought with this person for, in our time, an entire year, but obviously in theirs it's just a couple hours or so. But literally, he had Naruhata pinned down, all his friends are in danger, he's fighting Koichi, trying to kill him, and after all of that, Koichi is like, let's just go to the hospital, dude. He still wants to save him, and he really is a true hero. And this really paints the current state of where number 6 is at. He is dead. At this point, he is good and dead. It's just a matter of time. He's only being held together at this point by pure hate and vengeance. But number 6 isn't here to relate to Koichi, because they aren't the same. He isn't a hero. All number 6 ever wanted was to exist and to leave a mark on the world. And he does, by attacking Koichi one last time, leaving him a scar. So that every time Koichi looks in the mirror, he'll see the scar and remember the man he couldn't save. And the number 6 lets go and allows himself to explode, letting the inevitable finally happen. And I just love the defiance of All for One at the end. This entire time, you think that he is fully plugged into AFO's ideology. AFO has his thumb completely on him. But here, it's not true. He doesn't attack Koichi to kill him. No, he could have. He could have walked up, he could have grabbed him and exploded. But no, he's finishing it on his own terms. And what does he do? He puts on his face so Koichi can look into his own face. Because don't forget that, his face is modeled after Koichi's. That's where he originally got this idea for a face. So he goes up to Koichi, says, look me in the face. This is your face right here. And then he scars him. And the scar resembles his own scar, and it's just perfect. I love it. It's so poetic, it's so defiant against AFO. I just love the whole thing. Because, yeah, number 6 is gonna live on now. He's gonna live on through Koichi and his scar, and also his memory. As number 6 is ripped apart by the explosion, he remembers one last thing, a song. One that he heard Pop sing. And his final memory is a good one. So I think this is just super interesting for number 6 because he is a bad person. He has done bad things. He is a villain through and through. Now, he's the way he is because of AFO. AFO led him down this road to where he is being a villain. All that makes sense, and he's crazy, literally crazy, and that's why he's doing all these things. But he has humanity in him still. Because his final moment isn't thinking about how much he hates Koichi, how much he hates humanity, how much he hates. It's none of that. It's Pop. He's thinking about Pop and a song that she sang. And it's not about any vengeance or leaving his mark on the world, but instead it's about this special moment he had. And it's just really funny that the moment that he sees when he's about to die, the last moment is one that he wasn't even being himself. The one where he was faking a personality to get closer to Pop, that is the moment that he remembers. And I don't know, if this is all headcanon at this point, but I think there it really clicks for him that was him. Like, that could have been an aspect of him. He's someone running around not knowing who he is, trying to be all these different people, heroes, villains, like all these different things. But here he realizes this was the moment. Like, this is what he could have been. He could have been Rikuro Nomura. Like, he could have been this person and just lived there, but he didn't. And it's bittersweet at this moment, and I just think it's so perfect to send him off this way. Then we see the source of the song was Pop herself. Joined by Knuckle Duster, they talk about the good times they had, only to say, bye bye hero. Right as they are both resuscitated, Pop by midnight at the hospital, and Knuckle Duster by Soga. And the fake out. Oh, geez, okay. My heart at that moment, like, I actually thought this was real. I thought this was the death moment for both of them, and like, wow. They got me. I'm not gonna lie. They actually got me here really good. So I also just want to bring this around and talk about death in My Hero. So death has always been a really weird thing, and no spoilers for the entire series or anything here like that. I'm not gonna spoil anything blatantly here, but I think it's really interesting because we had 1 or 2 deaths in My Hero, and I think that they were medium impact. Like, this is the main series. They were medium impact. And when Knuckle Duster was dying here, I really thought this was the moment that we get it. I really thought we were actually going to get the moment where someone dies and it is impactful and it happens. And that's it, and we leave it at that. And I'm glad that Pop came back because I don't think it's time for Pop to die. I think that her story really culminates in the end, coming back and meeting up with Koichi, and to shed the things keeping them bound, right? To shed this persona that she put on, and just to say, hey, Koichi, I like you, and Koichi to go, yeah, I realize I like you too. Like, that's where their arc needs to go. But Knuckle Duster, it felt like his arc played out. It feels like he said the things that he wanted to say. He left the impact. It's a little bit bittersweet at the end, but he did the things that he did, and we're touched by his death. His death pushed Koichi forward, and it was a good death, I think, to have in a series. And they kind of took it back, and I don't know how I feel about that. I thought they were trying to play both sides here of like, let's give you a death, let's have it be impactful, but at the end we're gonna go, nope, psych, just kidding, Knuckle Duster actually didn't die, so everything's chill now, which I don't really like that. I wish they would have stuck with it. I think not all series need to have character deaths. I think that some are just like outside of that realm and they don't really need them, okay? But I think certain series like Vigilantes, where it's an off series, you can be a little grittier. Like, we talk a lot about drugs here, and like folks like being discriminated on because they're mutants essentially. We talk about those subjects and they're a little harsher than in the main series. And I was really hoping we would get this edginess, this death of a character, and it was going to be impactful. And it was going to solidify Knuckle Duster as his person in our memories. And we didn't get that. And I don't hate it, but I just wish we could have just had a death in My Hero and for it to be big and impactful. With Knuckle Duster and Pop still alive, and number 6 dead, the city comes back under control. And we end the chapter with Aizawa finding Koichi passed out on the roof. So I have a couple thoughts here. One is, I love it. I just love the whole series so much, and I'm glad the fight is over. We can finally rejoice, everyone. There is no more number 6 versus Koichi fight. We did it. We made it through. And we also get to leave the series with Knuckle Duster and Pop still alive and joining our main hero, which I like that thought. And I don't know, like, even though like I'm a little bit turned off by Knuckle Duster not actually dying, I'm glad that the characters get to come back together essentially. Now, this is obviously leading to like a conclusion chapter next after this, but I don't know. I just, there's something here that just like is making me a little bit sad that the series is ending, but also happy because we get to see these characters again in a happy light. So I guess that means this is a really good place to pivot into what happens next here. Where do we go from here? Now, Knuckle Duster and Pop obviously are back. The city is healing finally. Everything is going to be okay for them. Now, what happens with Koichi though? Is he dead? No. He's definitely not dead here. So the dead giveaway, no pun intended, is him having the scar. Why would he get scarred and then end up dying? It just like wouldn't make any sense. So where I think this really sets us up is to talk about the panel that we saw right before the fight. This is the Crawler's last season. So I do think this is the end of the Crawler though. I mean, we think about some of the like the past couple panels before we actually got into this fight, and like the big one here was the panel that said this is the Crawler's final season. And I actually do think that's true here of like, he's not going to fight anymore. I mean, this sets up so well of him being found by Aizawa. He goes to the hospital essentially and wakes up, and he's surrounded by all his friends and all of his loved ones. And we have to deal with the fact of he probably can't walk anymore, or maybe his arms don't work. He can't be a hero at this point. And now, while that does lead to an end of the crawler and we won't see him going forward, it does set us up with this nice moment of where they're able to end the series with Pop and Koichi being together, and Uncle Knuckle Duster, right, coming around and talking with the kids. And maybe this is a flash forward that we see, and maybe it's because I'm just so desperate for Pop and Koichi just to have any moment where they just talk to each other. Like, they are absolutely OTP, and I love it, and I just want to see them have a happy ending together. And you know what? I think we actually might get it. But with that all being said, we could just keep having more. I mean, there was no official word that this was like the final of the series or anything like that, so like, we could have more arcs after this. That is 100% possible. Now, while I don't think that is likely, I think we're at the point now where they're just going to finish out the series and it's going to be the end and it's going to be nice. I just think that's what's going to happen, but it is a possibility. We also have to look forward to the anime of where if they're going to announce it, I actually think it might happen soon. I think they might announce it soon, or if we don't hear them announce it soon, we're going to hear it when it happens at the end of the My Hero series. So that's really the only 2 points I think that we're really going to hear any word on an anime. So if the next chapter that we get really is the conclusion into the entire series, what can you expect from Class 1A? Well, obviously we're going to talk about that chapter just like we would any other chapter. After that, we're probably going to have like a round table podcast with myself, James, and Andrew just to get together and talk about the series. We've been following the series for over a year now. We absolutely love it, and I want to hear them just like, I don't know, I just want to shoot the shit with them and just talk about the series and just have a good time. Would love all of you to be there too, just like chatting with us, because it's going to be a really good time. I also have in the works like more of like a retrospective on the series, like talking about the impact of the series, why it's so good, what's really important about it, and kind of like a coming together of the moment of like all of this stuff happened. Now let's like kind of sum it up a little bit and let's talk about it. Now that's going to be a more highly produced video. It's going to be kind of like a longer video essay kind of deal. So expect that in a couple weeks. The format is going to be completely different than what you're used to here at the week by week, but it's going to be a really good one. I hope you all really love it. But just because My Hero Academia Vigilantes is starting to come to an end does not mean we are done with My Hero, because we got tons of My Hero stuff here. I talk about the main manga every single week that it comes out. Anytime there's an anime, we talk about it week by week. We do anime breakdowns week by week, and the new season is coming in the fall, so there's stuff to get hyped about. Plus, we'd even talk about the whole situation with Vigilantes possibly getting an anime. If it gets an anime, you know we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be hype, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you all next class.